I'm back and with more saga.
Oh, don't you dare look back, just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding back. She said shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said ooh, shut up and dance with me. We were victims of the night.
Hello and welcome to episode 48 of KnitScents. My name is Jan and you can find me as Jan Ellen RN on Ravelry, on Instagram, pretty much everywhere, but that's pretty much where I hang out, mostly on Ravelry and on Instagram. So please feel free to follow me on Instagram and friend me on Ravelry. I would like to really say a big hello and welcome to any new viewers. I know a lot of people subscribed at SSK, which really made me feel very, very good to have a bunch of new people joining us and putting up with my brand of crazy. And I really do thank all of my returning faithful viewers. You know how much I love you guys for sticking with me. It's been a while right here. Okay, that's the only way I can say it. I just don't know how one person can manage to have so much drama when I try so hard to fly under the radar. It's completely beyond me. But let me just give you a rundown. This episode, we have the pre-SSK drama that went on here, which was unbelievable. And then I do have some works in progress. Very little spinning. I think it's stuff I've talked about but haven't really shown. So I have that. I don't have any FOs of my own, but I do have a finished object, which I will share with you. Lot of recap of SSK and the fabulous time we had down there, which I'll talk about. And then, oh my, there's a pile. There's a pile here. And as usual, it's precariously perched. Now, I've been doing this, I don't know how many years, even though the number of episodes doesn't reflect it, which you'll see why when I get to the drama section. But it just occurred to me literally as I'm sitting here with the stuff piled, however long I'm doing this, at least 2 years, why the heck I don't pop a leaf in the table before I start and at least minimize the fallover and the damage. But okay, well, now I know for next time, but literally it just occurred to me. Just pop the leaf in. You have more room. Yeah, I'm not the fastest, yeah, okay. Anyway. I hope everybody has had a good summer up until now. I know mine has been really interesting. So let's see. When I last podcast, was back in the swing. All of everybody else's drama was finished, and I figured now I'm going to hit my groove, and I'm going to go back to really at least every week, at least every 10 days, something like that, 2 weeks, whatever. That was going to happen. So to make a very long story short, or this episode's going to end up being like 3 days long, the week before I was scheduled to leave for SSK on Tuesday the 17th. Now, let's see. Today is July 24th, so let's put that out there. It's Tuesday, July 24th. And I got back on Sunday the 22nd. I was supposed to leave July 17th. Okay. So the Sunday before that, the 17th was a Tuesday. The Sunday, the week before, I got up with a really, really bad headache. And I have migraines, so I just assumed it was a migraine and, tried to shake it off and whatever. By Monday, my joints were aching. I was feeling pretty sick, and I basically lost Monday and Tuesday. I really couldn't move. And then Wednesday morning when I got up early in the morning to take my dog out, I just made it down the steps and then just fell. I couldn't even stand anymore. And I was like, well, it's probably time to call the doctor. So I did. And he sent me to another doctor, and I got an appointment for the next day, which was Thursday. Well, by the time I was getting ready to go on Thursday morning, and I noticed that I have this really horrid rash on my leg. And it was painful. It was really painful. So I go to the doctor, and he draws massive tubes of blood and all this stuff, has no clue what the rash was. So from that doctor, I went to my doctor. He takes a look at the rash, scratches his head. It's like, I don't know what this is. Okay. That was Thursday. By Saturday, I was at the walk-in clinic, barely able to stand on the leg. And they gave me some topical cream to put on it, which didn't make much sense to me. I'm like, this I don't think is like a skin rash, because this hurts. This is like, feels like a massive bruise, like my leg got hit by a truck. So by Monday, back in the doctor's office I was, and the doctor says, I can't sit home like this. And I'm like, oh, okay, got another doctor, I'll go. As long as I'm on that plane tomorrow, I don't care. And he's like, no, you're not understanding. You need to go into the hospital. Yeah, okay, well, that's fine, but you all got one day to solve the problem, because I'm getting on that plane tomorrow. Well, to make a long story short, that day, Monday, was my birthday, and I spent it in the hospital. I did get admitted, and to make a very long and ridiculous story short, they determined it was Lyme disease and wanted to keep me an extra day. Now, this is already Tuesday morning. Now, I'm supposed to leave Tuesday afternoon, which clearly that wasn't going to happen. So I was like, okay, well, dish out the antibiotics, and I'll be really good about it and take it, and I'll see you guys Monday when I come back. And they were like, no, honey, it doesn't work that way. And I'm like, yeah, it does. I'll tell you what, we'll make a deal. I won't leave today. I will wait until tomorrow, Wednesday. Make sure it's not any worse. It's getting better, because in the hospital they had given me a lot of IV antibiotics, so it had already started. Long story short, I got on the plane Wednesday, barely walking on that leg, and I went. And I'm glad I did, because, every day I felt a little bit better than the day before. From what they tell me, it's going to take a while to feel 100%. I didn't need to feel 100%. I only needed to feel 25% to get on that plane. Okay, I would have had to feel negative 30 before I was going to miss out on this. So I did go, and I am so, so glad that I went. And I will get into the mechanics if you haven't watched previous episodes where I've gone over SSK, or if you're not familiar with it, I will go over the mechanics of it. But that is one of the things that make this retreat so fabulous and is really tremendous as it is because you can socialize as much as you want. The opportunity is there. Or you can hibernate in your room. If you need downtime, if you need rest time, you have your own little room and you can go and hide in there. There really is very little walking unless you want to, or it's somewhere that you want to go to. So that really, I think, helped a lot. I was able to take a lot of downtime. I was able to rest and take it easy. So I will share all of that with you. And the only other drama was, it's actually, to me, it was drama. It was like dramatic to the point where I will no longer walk on anything but concrete around this house. But I'm not going to insert the video clip because I don't know about anybody else, but it so upset me. I won't put anybody else through it. If you really want to see it, put a comment in the comment section below and I'll show it to you. But the upshot was, one of the 2 days, it was either Monday or Tuesday, that I was really, really sick. I was downstairs just laying in a heap. And my son comes running in the house, you've got to come out, you've got to come out. And I'm like, what? I really don't feel good. What is it? Did something fall on you? I mean, what? And he's like, no, you have to come out. And the bottom line is, there was this snake. Now, I don't mean a garter snake. I've seen those around. I hate them. They're disgusting. But, all right, I've made peace with them. They're little garter snakes. This was a snake. Like, it had to have been someone's pet that got let go. And it's literally coming off the back of my driveway, slithering into the Pachysandra. And if I hadn't been sick already, that would have pushed me right over the edge. So now, I don't feel well. Now my nerves are shot, and I'm convinced that the thing on my leg is from some snake bite I'm not aware of. It was a mess. It really, really was a mess. But anyway, all is good now. And like I said, I am feeling better. My leg is better. I'm glad I went. I probably would have been so angry at those days. As angry as I was that it took them that long to figure things out, or for somebody to just say, listen, this woman's leg's blowing up. Maybe we should put her on antibiotics and figure out what it is later. I would have been really upset had I stayed home, because I felt really that, good enough that I know I could have gone. So that's my whole saga, and we're already 10 minutes in, and this is a knitting show, so we will dive into my works in progress. I actually cast on, and I said I wasn't going to do this, right? I'm going to finish, I'm going to be monogamous, yeah, okay. Well, anyway, and a chair noise, and this wasn't too bad. It seems to be the one that I sit in that's horrible. Anyway. I did get some work done on my Cullum before I left, and I don't remember where I showed it, but I know I had to have made some serious progress on it since I showed it last. But I actually did not take this with me because I am near the bottom, and I didn't want to have to fuss with anything, with the sleeves or lace or whatnot. But I think I'm actually up to where you add the lace on the bottom of it. So essentially, and I don't think this picks up sleeves. I think this just kind of stays the way it is. So this is actually almost finished. So now that I pull it back out again and have a good look at it, I probably will, hopefully, have this finished by next week. This is, let's see, let's just show the length, and I believe, like I said, I think I'm up to the bottom of the lace. What I do have to do, other than the stockinette, which I didn't really mind, to me mindless knitting is always good, I think I also had to pick up and crochet around the neck or something, and I didn't want to do that down there, so that's why I left this home. But this was really an enjoyable knit, and I'm almost sorry I didn't finish it, because this is a pattern by Isabel Kraemer, who was one of the instructors down there, and I did not get into her class, but I can only say that this was the first time, and I did not know that, this is the first time that she's taught in the States. And I do know, I spoke to people who took her class. She did a top-down sweater class, which, oh my gosh, I would have loved to be in, but hindsight being 2020, it's a good thing I didn't take 3 classes, even though I put in for it, because I don't think I could have made it. I had one each morning, so I had 2 classes, and by afternoon I was done. So it worked out well, but I did get the chance to meet her, and she is just an absolute sweetheart. I am knitting this out of Quince & Company Sparrow, which is 100% organic linen. I am using the colorway Conch, which is number 251. Again, did I do a gauge swatch? I think I did do a gauge swatch. And with the linen, this is actually pretty open. But I did slip the sweater on, and I will likely wear this with a camisole or something underneath it, and it's not meant to be fitted. I think it's meant to have, like, if I remember correctly, like 5 or 8 inches of positive ease or something along those lines. So I'm really, really happy with this. Like I said, taking a look at it now, I'm probably just going to pick it up and just finish it off and maybe get a little wear out of it before the summer goes away. Although with the heat here in New York, I think it was hotter here. And it was pretty hot in Nashville. But it was hot, and it was very stormy up here, which we missed out. My daughter's flight, that Tuesday night flight that I was supposed to be on, or Tuesday afternoon flight, actually turned into a late evening flight. It was so delayed at the airport. So it ended up working out just as well, because I left Wednesday morning and I got to come home and sort of just rest a lot and, take my time. I was already sort of almost packed. I just had to physically put it in the suitcase. So I did get to rest and stuff. So that worked out pretty well. So that was my Cullum. And I did also, before I left, make some progress on my Rose City rollers. In fact, I have, oops, I know I'm going to take this off. 1 Rose City Roller sock finished, which is so cute. This is just, to me, like the best thing to do with leftover sock yarn if you have enough. And I don't make my cuffs very long, and I wear a size 7 shoes, so the foot part, I think my total foot is 9 inches that I knit to I think like 7 and then an inch and a half, something like that. So I usually end up with not enough to make another pair of socks, but I separated out all of my leftover sock yarn, and I really think a lot of those skeins have enough to make a pair of these. I know the lights are washing it out, but these are just great. They're just great, easy, quick socks. So I did cast on another one, and I think I did take these down with me. I did. I only took down 2 projects, and I will show you the other one because I cast it on the night before I left. I wanted easy stockinette. That's all I wanted to knit while I was down there. I knew I wasn't going to have the brain power for anything else, or really the head for anything else. So I took this down, but I actually did not knit on this because I was knitting on, and I wish I was more prepared. Let's see if I can pull up the pattern. Oh wait, actually I know a way to pull it up. Let's see. Just as an aside, I didn't realize Knit Companion is now new. The original Knit Companion, which now is considered, it's called Legacy, and that's the one I've had practically since it came out, because I didn't have the yearly subscription. I was grandfathered in with the one time. I used it, I depended on it, but you couldn't update the extras, the magic markers, and there's some other bundle or whatever. So because I am so in love with this and I love the software, I did end up purchasing the new Knit Companion. And I have to say, again, there's a learning curve, and mine probably isn't as steep because I had used the other one, and I think this one is even a little more intuitive than the first one was. So I have to say, if you've not tried Knit Companion, or if you have it and are wondering why you can't update it at all, that's why, because there is a new one out and you can't update the old one. You literally have to purchase the new one. But it was not, I think it was very similar in price to if you have the yearly subscription on the old one. I think it's $20 for the year with the magic marker bundle or whatever. So it was definitely worth it. But what all I'm trying to get at here is that I'm trying to show what I cast on, which is a skirt, and it's called Putting on the Pleats, and oh boy, let's see if I can get this to show. Okay, all right, hold on. Is that working? No. Gosh. Bigger. I know. See, this is a very low-tech, low-budget, I have no idea what I'm doing podcast here. So there you can see one of my art lights. That's the only kind I know. Let's see if we make this smaller. Maybe it'll show better. Well, anyway, it's a very simple pleated skirt by Ann Budd. So if you want to look it up online, it's called Putting on the Pleats. And she has several pleated skirt patterns. And the reason I decided to jump in and try this, because I would never in a million years wear a knitted skirt. Okay, I'm thinking to myself, that's got to show every bump, every bulge. I mean, it's got to be, a knitted skirt's got to be probably one of the most unflattering garments ever. Well, last year I took a class with Ann Budd, and it had nothing to do with skirts or anything else. It was actually steeking and putting in a zipper. But she had, and she is a diehard knit skirt wearer and designer. And she brought in this skirt, Putting on the Pleats. And she, you know, somebody had said something about, oh, I love that skirt on you, because she wears her skirts all the time. And they said the same thing I would have said, which is like, I wish I could wear that or something like that. Well, that was all Ann had here. She, by the way, if you've never taken a class with her, is so funny. And such a fabulous teacher that you just, Oh my gosh, if you didn't love knitting already, you'd be hooked. So that was all she had to hear. So she had a bunch of skirts, and she made everybody in the class try on that skirt. Now, everybody was a different height, a different size, a different shape, long-waisted, short-waisted, busty, not busty. I mean, every single shape in that class tried that skirt on. And that skirt looked fabulous. In one size, I mean, come on. Now, granted, you know, some people had to make a smaller size, some people would make a larger size, but that skirt looked amazing on everybody. And I said to myself, well, if one skirt can look that good on at least 15 people, it's worth a try. So I stopped at chair noise. That's another thing. Yeah, I live across the street from a hardware store. You would think I would have something under this chair. God, why do I do that? To stop that noise, but I haven't found it. I've tried those felt things, and then when I push the chair back, the felt things fall off, and then they get stuck, and I drag them all over, and then they get full of dog and cat hair, and that's disgusting. Anyway, if anybody has a suggestion how to make this chair stop the terrible chair noise, let me know. Put it in the comment section below. Anyway, I cast on putting on the pleats. And the pattern calls for wool mice, and as luck would have it, I did have 2 skeins. But as luck would also have it, one of my local yarn stores just so happens to sell wool mice now. And I figured, well, you know, I could always knit a matching sweater from the extra if I decide, you know, to do that. So I got literally on the way home from the hospital with the tag on, the whole bit. I stopped in the store, picked up 2 skeins of wool mice. It's in the Pure. And I know that the name of the color is Tandoori Masala because I've knit with it before, and I think I have at least 2 skeins of it left. And I think each of these skeins is 500. Actually, I might even be able to say. It is, what's her yardage? Oh, that's interesting, 383 yards. Wow, I think it's a darn good thing that I have extra skeins because I thought these used to be like 500 and something yards in the Pure. I've never seen 383. I was kind of wondering because this was getting kind of, all right. And I'm not alternating skeins, so this is going to be an interesting experiment in colorology. Anyway, this is knit from the top down. And simple, 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 simple. You basically cast on whatever you need to cast on for your size. You knit 22 rows, which if your row gauge is on, comes to, I think, 2 inches. I'm not sure my row gauge is spot on, but that's okay. It's all right. It's fine. Because you're going to knit a purl row, then you knit another 22 inches, 22 rows. 22 inches. So you make 22 inches and you drag it on the floor on me. Anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to fold this over, and you can see on the inside. And we're going to be sewing this down. And you put elastic in here. So essentially what you're doing is you're making an elastic waistband, which is so smooth. And when you look from the front, you end up with this completely flat waistband. The beauty of the skirt comes right in here, where what you're doing is you're knitting in darts. And I think it's 3. I've done 2. So I will be working on my 3rd dart. And then once you've done the waist and then the hip area, and the hip area is where you're doing your increases and you have your darts. And according to the size, that's how many darts you'll be adding. So it will give you a little bit of extra width while still having a tiny bit of negative ease. So if you can visualize it, what it's doing is you've got negative ease, but it's still fitted. So it doesn't look like, as my mother would say, you've got 2 quarts of jelly in a 1 quart jar. It's shaping. It's giving you the fittedness, but still the ease that you need. And then once you've gone through that, then you're just basically doing stockinette with the pleats added in it. And I guess you stop when it hits whatever length it is that you stop. So I actually cast this on last Tuesday night, And that's all I've been working on. That's all I worked on at SSK. And I'm almost literally done. The waist is done, the waistband is done, and I'm almost done with the hip area, which is where you do the dart increases. And then I'll start the pleats, which is basically where the skirt falls. So it's just been knitting. If you don't like plain knitting or can't deal with miles and miles and miles of stockinette, this probably isn't for you, because that's basically what it is. But when my brain is fried and I really don't want to think, but I want my hands to be busy, that's exactly what I want. And you know what? I love doing socks for that reason, but it's nice to have something else that you could do instead of just doing socks. And this is a great, great project for that. So that's basically all that I've been working on. Those are my works in progress. I did, in the past couple of weeks, get some spinning done. And, excuse me, I'm going to be tacky right now and reach around and grab my bobbin. I don't think I kept forgetting to take it off the wheel. And the truth of the matter is there wasn't really enough on here to talk about, to show anything. But I vaguely remember having shown it. This is from Hello Yarn. And it's from one of her patchwork kits, which is essentially, and I know I had talked about this before, it's a pound of fiber, and I found out about it from the Knit Girls, from seeing it on their podcast. Laura had done, had spun the pound and made a blanket out of it, which she brought to SSK. It was stunning. And Leslie also got a pound of it, spun it very similar to the way that Laura spun it, and gave it as a door prize for SSK. And somebody, 2 people down from me, won it, and so I got a good close-up of it, and it was magnificent. It was absolutely gorgeous. So it made me come home and want to spin a little bit more on this. So this is from a patchwork quilt from Hello Yarn. And I did pretty much what Laura had said she did, and I kind of separated out. Now, if you're not familiar with, Hello Yarn has yarn kits, monthly yarn subscriptions, whatever. And what she does is the bits and bobs, the ends that are left over from the monthly kits, she packages together and sells in a 1-pound bag. So you would get a number of different colors, but several of the same, maybe 1 ounce little comb top things of several different colors. So I did what Laura suggested, was I took all of the colors apart and put the same ones and similar ones together. And that's how I plan to spin it. And then I plan to chain ply it, so that the colors will all stay together, because otherwise I think I'm going to end up with a hot, muddy mess, and I don't want to do that. So that's what I've been spinning on. Not a lot of progress, but like I said, I've really been wanting to get back into this. And after seeing the way this spun up, yeah. I know the lights are dimming in and out. As soon as I sat down, the sun was out all day long. It's been like living in the tropics here. It's been humid, it's been stormy, it's been hot, and now it looks like the heaven's going to open up any minute. As soon as I sat down, it got dark outside. So there you go. So that is all of my works in progress, and I want, this is too funny. Okay, I had started a notebook when I started podcasting. Last one here. I don't know if you can see it because the lights are really lousy, but it's episode 13, and then I gave up trying to write notes. So we go from episode 13 to episode 48. Something just flew by. I didn't see. So, because I figured with the way my head is right now, if I don't write down at least some chair. Okay, wait, let's just get started. Okay. I'm going to go literally off the trolley. So that's where we're at. So a little bit about SSK. If you are not familiar with it or don't know what it is, SSK is short for Super Summer Knit Together. It's a retreat that's been put on for 7 years now by the Knit Girls. It is usually the second to third week in July in Nashville, Tennessee. It's at the Scarrett Bennett Center, which, if you're not familiar with it, is just, it's an awe-inspiring place. That's all I can say about it. It really is a very grounding place, very peaceful, beautiful architecture. I did take some footage. Okay, I was a bad vlogger. I was bad. I admit it, I was bad. But I did take some. So I am going to try, once I get all this here mess recorded, I am going to try to get the footage, because some is on my phone and some is on my camera and the memory card, which as soon as I got there, it's a good thing I had 2 memory cards because one was full. And I also, when I packed my computer, because I was planning on uploading it from there, I packed the computer and somehow managed not to take the cord, the charging thing or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, it runs from that Wednesday, which is the middle kind of Wednesday in July, through Sunday. And basically the format is arrival is Wednesday, and Wednesday night starts opening ceremonies where the girls talk a little bit about what you can expect. What else? Door prizes. A lot of door prizes. They talk about, not locking you when they get out of the bathroom. A lot about the Scarrett Bennett Center and their mission and their mission statement, which is really, really great. So they talk about that, and then a lot of door prizes. Okay, lots of door prizes. And then Thursday morning starts classes. So Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday afternoon are both classes. And then Thursday night, they have what they call the tasting room. And I remember the first year was great because they brought down some spinning wheels, they brought down some needles to try, they brought down some spindles, a drum carder, a blending board, whatever. It was all in one room. They have expanded this to the point where there is so, I don't know how they managed to get all that stuff down there. It's mind-boggling to me how they pack it, get it up the stairs, physically just move all this stuff, get it back packed up, and get it home, and then unpack it again. I mean, that alone to me is like an incredible amount of work. But they do. They do it. And the tasting room has expanded over the years to just so many wheels. Now they have e-spinners, all different kinds of wheels. There's an entire room of needles to try. All of the hottest needles, brand new needles that haven't even come out on the market yet. And I love the fact that now, I think it was first started last year, every single needle has a sheet of paper. And there's a column for things you like about the needles and a column for things that you didn't like about the needles. And that is really, really helpful. If you're in the market for especially interchangeables, which are more of an investment, it is so great to see what people thought about it, to be able for you to try it and what you like and don't like about it, but also for the ones that maybe you didn't get to try or whatever, to see what, because it's usually fairly consistent. It's usually like people like the same things, dislike the same things, but what they dislike may not be something that bothers you. So it's really a fabulous opportunity to try this. I know last year I had the opportunity to try both a picker, a table picker, and a swing picker, and that helped me decide which one I wanted to get. I was afraid to go near the e-spinners because I had a sneaking suspicion I would end up buying one, so I didn't. And then Friday night is the try-it-on room, where people bring, and I think this year the sweaters, they outdid themselves. People just, I think it was way more than we've ever had before. In fact, I think there was a separate room for accessories. And people bring in sweaters, shawls, hats, everything that you could possibly, but the sweaters were amazing. And it gives you the opportunity to try on and to see in person, because we all know that when you see the pattern online to me, I mean, some people maybe can visualize it better. I was never able to do that. And which will lead me to some of the things that I bought because I actually got to see them in person. But once you see it, and then the opportunity to try it on, because how many times do you not know, should I cast on this size or that size? But you're able to try it on. You see the yarns that people have knitted in. It's a fabulous opportunity. It really, really, really is. So that's basically, and then Saturday is the market. Let's not even talk about that. But the vendors are, oh boy. Yeah, it will be on ramen noodles for a couple of weeks, but it's all okay. It's all good. No, actually, I had swirled away because I know I was going to hit the market hard. And then Saturday night is closing ceremonies, which is essentially even more door prizes. And there's two separate door prizes. The first night is just regular door prize tickets that you earn or that you get from the teachers or from different, knit-alongs that they have through the year that you can earn tickets. That's the same thing on Saturday. But there's also a separate thing of tickets where you purchase or you make a donation to the Scarrett Bennett Center. And they give you a ticket for every $1 you donate. And those are for prizes that really are, I don't want to say higher value prizes, but they really are very special prizes. Hand spun yarn, Laura knits hand knit custom socks for people, hand knit items, donated really fabulous yarn and stuff. So it's kind of, I would say, really high value from the heart. And sometimes really high value stuff too, don't get me wrong, but it's just stuff that's donated from the heart, so it really has very special meaning. And I will show you in a moment from that. So that's basically the SSK agenda. And I can just say as a side note that the chef, her name is Jen, goes, first of all, her food is phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. A lot of it she grows herself. She has her own gardens and whatnot, but she will accommodate any allergies, any special diet. She will even go so far as to put your name on food or on snacks if so I can't say enough to thank her. She is amazing, and what that woman can do with tofu is, it's unbelievable. So that's the wrap up of SSK. The two instructors I had this year were Kirsten Kapoor, and this was the first time that I had taken a class with her. She did teach there once before, but I didn't take a class with her. This year I did on stranded colorwork and the Latvian braid, and I would love to show you what I did, but this dunce left it. It was on the double point needles. And I didn't know how to pack it that it wouldn't fall off. So I put it in this outside small little zippered pocket of mine in the suitcase. And this idiot forgot to take it out of the suitcase before my son went and put it up at the attic. So at some point, I have to go up to the attic and retrieve that because we swatched and we did all kind of practice on stranding, really on how to keep your floats loose and not get that puckering. And I loved my color combination so much that I decided to cast on her Trillium Knits, which was the pattern that we had to really were working from. And I loved the Latvian braid. I don't know. I've done it before, but how she made it so easy, I don't know. But she made it super simple to do. And I did get that part done. I was actually working on the color work, so I have to go retrieve that from the attic. But what was worth the price of admission alone, I could not understand. And I will show my Sapilla sweater, which is sitting in a timeout right now, literally with just like this much of the sleeves to do. I couldn't understand why it was puckering. My floats were loose. There was no way that my floats were too tight. And after practicing and working in the class, we determined, and it was worth the price of admission alone, I was trapping my floats too tightly. And that was causing the puckering. wasn't the floats themselves. They were nice and loose. They looked great. I was trapping them too tightly. And also, I've got to let go of trapping 5 stitches. That doesn't need to be trapped. 7 stitches, yeah, and onward. But I think when you try to trap 5 stitches, it's almost unavoidable that it's going to be too tight, and it really needs to be trapped. So that's my heads up. If you're noticing that your work is puckering and you're trapping your stitches, check the tension in where you're trapping the stitches, because that very well may be where you put it. So that was class number 1. Class number 2 was Shetland Lace with Laura Nelkin, who, the only thing I can say about Laura Nelkin is I love her and I want to clone her and take her home with me because I love her. She is just an amazing teacher, an amazing designer, has a color sense that's absolutely unbelievable. And after having seen, I've been in the M Club from the beginning. I went right from the M Club to the N Club, which I've shown. I've shown all through this podcast. I have been getting Lola's kit since it started as well, which is her smaller bi-monthly kits. I don't think I ever knit any of them. I loved every one of them, and I'm like a hoarder. And the last one that just came out was Past the Peyote. And if you haven't seen it or caught it, you need to check it out on Ravelry. It's an adorable cuff which uses the peyote stitch, and I was so obsessed with it that I bought another kit to make 2 of them while I was there, which I will show you because I've got everything piled up here. But Laura really went into the history of Shetland lace, which I love. I love Shetland lace. I love Estonian lace. I would love to get more into Japanese lace. And I learned from Laura why a lot of my lace projects do not hold their block. They do not block, because Shetland lace, almost any lace, really needs to be blocked to the point where, like, just before the yarn is going to break. And that's all well and good. I have no problem aggressively blocking things. What bothers me is when I go back 2 months later and they kind of don't look the way they did when I first blocked them. And that's because I found out that superwash yarn is not going to block the way 100% wool yarn will. Lesson learned. Okay. So that was my 2 classes. I enjoyed them both very much. Unfortunately, I don't know where I did have my sample that I knit from Laura. Maybe it's in one of the bags. If it is, I'll show it. But I fell in love with the bird's eye lace stitch, which I have done. I did it on Creatrix, which I had already shown in the podcast. But I realized is on the top of her sweater Pacificus, which she was wearing. And I did get yarn for that. So why don't we just cut to the chase and get right to the enabling, okay? One thing that did not, hold on, because it's stuck under the light, okay. This came, which is my Loops Club kit, which I swore I was going to get out of, but didn't, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, came just before I left. And this is, Loops Club is a yarn store, Loops, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Shelly is the owner, and she has a monthly club called the Loops Club. So every month you get at least 1 skein of yarn, sometimes it's more, and a pattern and something thrown in. And this month, again, my lights are, oh gosh, I wish I knew how to light this. Maybe when my husband gets back, because this is his thing. He does this for a living, and you'd think I'd know what I was doing, but I don't. Anyway, this is called Bum Yarn. The colorway is Hawaii or Bust, and it's their diamond head sock. It's an 80-20 merino silk, and it's 400 yards. And all I can tell you is that this is soft like I've never seen soft, okay? Really. This silk merino combination is really, really soft, and I loved the colors. These are great summer colors. And with the kit, you get 2 patterns. You get a knit pattern and a crochet pattern. And the whole premise behind the Loops Club, and again, I'm really bad, I haven't knit this stuff, but I think I'm going to take the time out from large projects and start knitting up these kits. Laura, by the way, if you don't know, Laura Nelkin is having on her forum, on her Ravelry forum, what she's calling a kit, K with an N in parentheses, kit along. So it's a knit along, but from her kits. And I believe she has weekly prizes and motivation, a lot of help. There's always support on her forums. So if you're considering getting, and you will see a bunch of her kits, if you're considering getting any of her kits or whatnot, be sure to check out her forum because she is doing a kit along. And this is sort of the same premise of supposedly not a huge project, but an easy to start and finish and wear it now kind of project. So this is the pattern called I'm Waving at You, and it's beach inspired. I believe this one is the crochet, and that is the knit pattern that came with the kit this month, and this I have to show you. This is one of the reasons why I had to bring this in. I've never seen this before. In the kit came this selfie ring light. Can you imagine? All right, there you go. I have not even taken it out of the box, so I don't know how a selfie ring light works. Maybe next time I'll take it out and we'll have a tour of it. But I just had to show you guys that because I just thought it was funny. It was clever and funny and all at the same time.